Hello and welcome. I'm Sofiko and this is Creative Minds Speaking, a podcast where I have conversations with creative industry professionals, bringing into the spotlight those incredible people who are behind the scenes of art and entertainment is the main goal of this podcast. In the first episode, I am absolutely honored to have Jon Sabillón as a guest. Jon is the founder of the world's first record label for robots and a producer of Ray One, an AI artist that creates beautiful songs that you'd never even think were made by a robot. Hi, Jon. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Sofiko. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Great. Let's start then. So, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself, your background?
Yes, so I'm originally from Honduras, San Pedro Sula in Cortez, and my family emigrated to the United States when I was in elementary school. So I went to school um, in the U.S. All the way through college, and I've always really been interested in music. I'm classically trained. I've done probably almost everything you can in the field from orchestra to marching band to DJing to marketing to production to musical theater. So I've very much been in that world. And then more recently, as you mentioned in your intro, I've been doing a lot with artificial intelligence and looking towards the future of music and creativity in general.
That's amazing. So, when did you realize that you want to work in the music business?
Uh, I always go back to a very specific point when I was playing. It's either fifth grade or sixth grade, and I was playing The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, and that's actually the first time I ever played an instrument. Um, in that game, like the Ocarina of Time is like a little magical flute, and you play it using the N64 controller. And when that happens, not only is the music in that game really really good, but when you play your ocarina, like it has actual magical powers, and you can go back in time. That's like the main mechanic, but you can also change the weather, and you can uh, communicate with the dead, and you can rescue a princess, and all these really, really amazing things that when, I'm a fifth or sixth grader and this is my first exposure into music, like that was really, really magical. And so I think I always wanted to um, recapture that sense of wonder and magic that I felt myself when it comes to music. And I want to do that for other people in my own way. So that's kind of, and I've been doing that in one way or another ever since. So yeah.
So, once you realized that you want to be in this industry, what steps did you do towards this dream?
Well, after that, that was right when I started playing Zelda. That was right around the time where you could start enrolling in bands and choirs, and so I did that. I played my first instrument, real instrument, was clarinet, and then I played saxophone, alto sax, and then I played tenor sax, and then I played bari sax in a jazz band. I did choir also. Uh, was involved in um, musicals and that kind of thing, and show choirs, that kind of stuff. And then I got out when I after high school, I got involved in radio and DJing, and I learned a little bit more about doing that stuff in addition to still doing band and choir. And I also got involved when I was in university with like booking shows and um, through like the student programming board, and I learned a lot about like I guess how to book shows and how to deal with artists and what the manager booking that whole world is like. And we got some pretty major acts to come through our university and town. And after that, I had some connections with some like major labels doing just simple like marketing stuff. And but I was still DJing, and I kept doing that, and I got really good at it. And yeah, long story short, eventually I wound up at Berkeley with you because I really wanted because I really wanted to do um, to sort of formulate how I could do my interest in like the future of music and the future of DJing and all of that, and how to basically make a business plan or pursue that more in a real academic and like professional way. And so when I first heard about that program, I like applied right away, and I was living in Japan at the time, and I got in, and the rest is history.
Yes, that's great. We had so much fun in Berkeley,
We did.
weren't we?
Yeah.
So record label for robots.
Yeah.
A lot of people are still afraid of robots, and you decided to start a record label for them.
Yes.
Could you please tell a little bit about this idea, how you came up with this idea, and just share?
Yeah, I do want. I want before like when you said a lot of people are afraid. I think that's really true. And what's interesting to me is that a lot of the people who are like a robot can never make music as good as a person. They're also the same people that say this is going to put me out of a job as a musician, and it can't be both things, right? So I think that's a little bit funny when people say that to me. But um, there are a couple of things. Like number one, like this technology and like this idea, it is inevitable. Like if I wasn't doing it, at some point in time somebody would come along and do this, you know. It's just it's the way that things, it's going to happen whether you are afraid of it and or you don't like it or not. And moreover, like I think that the music that I'm making now, and I've been making music, like I said, almost my entire life, like, but the music that I'm making now alongside the AI is in a lot of ways more human and more emotionally resonant than music I was making by myself without machine learning or any of that. And that happens almost every time that I make something, or that Ray One makes something. And I find that really fascinating. And I think there's a question that really just that I really kind of gripped me when I was, again, I think I thought about this kind of stuff when I was living in Japan. Like what does happen to musicians and artists when robots can make music that's as good or better than what they can make? Like what does that really mean? And I don't think I don't have an answer for that question, but I think that in the pursuit of that question, I think a lot of really interesting things can and have already happened, and I think will continue to happen. And in terms of what even creativity is, like um, what does it mean to make music? Like what if a machine can do it? Like what does that uh, really mean? And for so long, like the arts have been like the one area where machines, they can't touch that, right? They can do your taxes and they can do banking or whatever, but not artistry. And that is no longer true, and really hasn't been true for a couple of years. But um, I don't think that this I don't think people should be afraid, because in the same way that photography didn't eliminate painting, or any other kind of art, like this isn't going to eliminate humans making music. I mean, humans are always going to be want to do that. I mean, we can have. I still enjoy cooking my own meals, even though I'm sure that a robot could do it just as well or better. And same thing. And it's been really interesting to explore. And like I said, I do a lot of work, especially recently, in a machine emotion, which is a very unexplored field of AI learning and deep learning and that kind of thing. And incorporating that into music creation, I think is really important, and I think it's really unexplored by almost every firm or person or organization that's doing work in artificial intelligence and music. It's usually a lot more that doesn't get considered. But I think that for humans making music, like the emotional aspect is so salient that it only makes sense for um, and virtual or a synthetic artist to also factor that in. And like I really think that from a human perspective, like artificial intelligence cannot be really intelligence without emotions. And so from a human perspective, so that's, yeah, my answer to that. I think I went off probably longer than you wanted to, so Fico, sorry.
No, thank you. That's very interesting. So, would you say that this emotional aspect is something that differentiates Rayban from other AI projects? Because there are some robots already that create music, and what would you say is different? Like how Ray-Ban is different from others? Is
Yeah,
it emotions or something else?
yeah, definitely. Ray one is not one algorithm, but it's a bundle of different codes, and I should say that all of them are based on open source uh, algorithms and protocols, particularly from TensorFlow, from Google, from one called Magenta, and some from PyTorch. And I take all these bundles, I customize them for my own purposes. And yes, the machine emotive aspects of it are very unique to Ray One, and in the way that I do them too. I even use facial recognition software to read emotions on a human's face, and then try to incorporate that data and transform it into musical information and musical data. And but I think that the main difference between my company Aigg and other ones is more like my philosophy, in that I think that these synthetic artists should be artists like almost every other company, and they're doing good work, but it's like different work. And I'm talking about companies like Popgun and Boomy and so forth. They really want to have AI tools for musicians. So they want to take somebody who's never made a song before and to push a couple of buttons, and then you have a song. And that's really great, but that's just not what I'm interested in, and that's not necessarily what I care about. I don't really want to make this available to anyone. I think that that's fine, and I think that's going to happen anyways. But I'm more interested. Again, this is more philosophical. Like, what it does it mean to have a synthetic artist, and how does that relationship with a human creator um, evolve, compete, and collaborate with humans, and how they make music together.
That's incredible. I mean, the first time I've heard this idea, I was just like, wow, because this is so amazing that what you're doing. Um, do you want to maybe share some other projects that you're doing? For example, I know that you did some DJing classes for,
Yes.
yeah, maybe you want just to share something.
Yeah. I've been working on this for a long time. It's taken me longer than I would like, just like everything else, really. But basically, when we were together in Berkeley, I started a program to teach how to DJ, and in particular, people that wouldn't normally do it or be interested in it, and specifically, like, I think there's DJing is worldwide. It's 95% men, and the vast majority of them are white men, and that's a really strange demographic breakdown for something that has no, like, there's no difference between a man and a woman DJing, right? Like, and so it doesn't really make any sense for that to be so skewed in that way. And so this program was called DJ para todos, which means DJ for everybody in Spanish. And most of the people that went through it were women. And so basically, this is the next evolution of that. It's all virtual. My goal is for, in less than a week, you can go from knowing nothing about DJing to being able to do your first show. Of course, these days that probably means a virtual show, but a show nonetheless. And you don't need special equipment. You don't need special skills, because I will teach you about them. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. And I say at this point, I think I have 13 something years of DJing, like hundreds of shows, and never once in all that time have I DJed alongside a woman until I started asking them myself. And so I just really I can boil down my whole philosophy and really my whole courses in one sentence, which is DJing is about playing the right music, and if you can do that, everything else is like superfluous. Like, whether you can beat match properly, whether you can scratch, or all that stuff doesn't really matter. It's really just about playing the right music. Everything else supports that. So yeah, so it's a different kind of DJ course from what you can find out there. If you're a cool person, if you're creative and you're conscious and you love music, then I think you can probably be a better DJ than most people out there. So that is what I'm working on right now too.
This is so inspiring. I can't wait to see your classes. I mean, I attended some of your
You
classes,
did, yeah.
but
You were really great.
um, so what would you say are your highlights? Not just in general, not career, not specifically career wise, just in general, your highlights.
My highlights. Well, I've been able to travel a lot in my life, which I think has been very valuable for my development as a person. And like in really, really dramatically different places, from uh, Honduras to the US to Japan to the United Arab Emirates, Spain, Morocco. Like all these places are really, really different from each other. And I think that having a really um, like our program that we attended at Berkeley was a global entertainment and music business thing, and so you really to really understand and have like a global impact is really beneficial to experience as much of the globe as you can. And so I feel really lucky to be able to do that, especially because I don't come I feel lucky is the right word just because I don't come from money. I don't have like my family's not rich and I've never been rich. I hope to someday, but I'm not, and I've still been able
Oh,
to.
definitely. Didn't you win like the most likely to be a billionaire award at the end of the year? So no
Yeah,
worries
well,
about that.
that remains to be seen, but that's definitely the plan. But I would say that has been really just important for me as a human, and um, I also um, I don't know how to word this exactly, but I've had a lot like especially like recently I've overcome a lot of like emotional and like personal uh battles. I know those are invisible to the outside for the most part, but like I'm really proud of myself for overcoming that because um yeah, I guess I've been through the dark night of my soul a couple of times in my life, and it's I know a lot of people are having a tough time these days with just the ambient chaos in the world, and it seems like it's getting more and more chaotic every day. But uh, just making it through that, and like not only making it through that, like I've talked about this with you before, uh, Sofiko, and it's just I really like this concept of um, anti-fragility, and it's I remember I thinking about this, and I've told you the story before about how I was out running and I didn't have like my shirt on, so I felt like even more vulnerable. But I started getting circled by vultures, and this is I was out running at a time when I was feeling like particularly depressed and anxious and so forth. And so like I was like, oh my gosh, how can my life get any worse? Like I'm about to be eaten by these vultures that are gonna come um, like kill me and eat my dead body. And like but I started thinking about just like how vultures are and the fact that um they not only they not only eat dead things and like things that would kill any other animal, but like it nourishes them. Like they can fly and they're really really strong birds because they eat like all of the nasty stuff that nobody else can touch. And so like that's basically what anti-fragility is. It's not only do you get through the bad stuff, but you're stronger because of them. And so in some ways you almost want to experience all that. And I feel like this year in particular has been like an exercise in how to be anti-fragile to me, just one thing after another that I never uh, asked for and I don't feel like I deserved, and why is life so unfair, that kind of stuff. But I feel like overcoming that has been really really also important to it's a strange thing to say what has been a highlight, but really getting past all of that stuff has been a highlight for me. And I think since it's been so recent too, I think I really feel that. And um, yeah, and I'm to the point where I feel like I can do almost anything. So
You really can, and I'm so proud of you, and you know that. I just want to say it on my podcast again.
thank you, Sophia. That's so sweet.
um, I think we should slowly wrap up our session. Is there anything else you would like to share with your audience, with our audience?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will say when we were together at Berkeley, like one thing that I like there were a lot of people that didn't understand what I was doing, and it took me a long time for me to understand what I was doing, to be honest. But you were always someone who like you kind of got it right away, like with almost everything, and I think that that's really special, and I think that's really important. I think that the people that are going to have a hard time adjusting to whatever new um, paradigms happen in the future, whether they're in the music industry or not. But in the music industry, especially, just because historically, I feel like the music industry has been really slow to adapt and adjust and to like streaming or you know mobile devices, and they're just really really slow at doing that. And I think that you're someone who's really poised. You've all like from as long as I've known you, you've always been someone who uh, just really gets it. And I think you're gonna thrive really well in whatever you're doing. And
Thank you so much.
yeah,
It
and
wasn't
I think
supposed
I'm
to be
excited to hear
about
more about.
me.
I'm excited to hear more episodes from this podcast because I think you're probably gonna have people that have similar um, uh, postures about the future and the industry as it is and how it could be, which I really enjoy exploring. So yeah.
Thank you for your kind words, really. Thank you. At the end, I just want to ask some very quick, silly questions.
Hmm.
So, what is the most useless talent that you have?
The most useless talent I have. Oh man, that's really. Um, I'm really good at picking up clothes off the floor with just my feet. So like, I don't have to bend over to pick up like a dirty sock or shorts or something.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty useless.
Yeah.
Who is your celebrity crush?
Oh man. I have a lot of them.
Okay, maybe just two or three.
Um, I really like Tessa Thompson, and I really like. I have a big crush on Amelia Clark, and I have a big crush on Zendaya, and I could go on and on, but there's a few.
Okay, yeah, you have a great taste.
Yeah,
Um, who would you say is your inspiration?
I have a lot of those too. I really, when you look at her entire story, Oprah is so inspirational. Like just how she was from growing up in poverty and just and like sexual assault and everything she went through, and now she's a billionaire, and especially as a black woman, like wow, I think she's really inspirational. Um, I think I think Walt Disney is all very inspirational to me. Um, I kind of want to be kind of like a the Walt Disney of the music industry somehow, like more so than any particular artist, but I find him really inspirational. Um, those are a couple, but yeah,
And the last one,
yeah,
um, can you tell us your three all-time favorite books or movies or songs you choose? Whatever you
yeah,
want to share.
yeah. I'll do maybe one of each. I my all-time favorite movie is The Lion King, the original anime movie. When you really look at it, there's like nothing wrong with it. Like it's the animation's really good. Like the music's really good, the story's really good. Like it's just a perfect movie from like beginning to end. And obviously as a kid, like that's really meaningful to me. Um, I don't know if it's my all-time favorite song, but I was I was listening to it recently, and Dreams by Fleetwood Mac is like almost a perfect song. Like I think by almost any way you can measure it. Like it's yeah, I just really love Dreams by Fleetwood Mac. And you said book. I also um, this is really recent, but I and it's a graphic novel, so I'm going to cheat a little bit. But the Silver Surfer, like the Marvel Silver Surfer comic arc from like 2018, I think, 2016 or 2018, is really, really, really good. Like it's actually the most romantic book slash story I've ever read. I know it's really strange because it's like a spacey superhero thing, but it really is. And I don't want to spoil anything, but you should pick up the most recent Silver Surfer arc, and it's very sci-fi and very super duper creative and very cosmic and like the most romantic thing I've ever read in my entire life. So those are three.
I would love to check it out. I
Yeah,
haven't read it honestly.
yeah.
Thank you so much, John, for being with me today.
Thank you for
It was
inviting
so
me.
nice talking to you. It was
Yeah,
so great to hear about your journey, and thank you for sharing your idea with us and
mhm.
just sharing your thoughts with us. You're really inspiring and just incredible human being, and I'm so happy to have you as a guest. I'm so happy to have you as a friend, and just really thank you for everything.
Of course, I'm always here for you anytime. Thank you for inviting me.